Hey, we can't start if you don't say it. Hello, welcome to today's episode of Juicing the Numbers, your statistics and sports podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Tracy.
And I'm Corwin Heller.
And welcome to the stats edition, once again, of the show. We are going to be talking a little bit about home runs once again today. Corwin, you ready to go?
Yes, sir.
All right, so a big storyline for the past 3 years or so has been the home run ball, or I guess really the ball itself and how it's been affecting the home run, right? We've heard a lot of talk over the last few years about, the ball seems juiced, it's going farther, more easily. We saw pieces published about this in The Ringer and a lot of discussion around it from StatCast, and Justin Verlander started tweeting out stats about the baseball, and like everybody and their mother was talking about, even if there weren't you weren't doing any real research into it, and we're just looking at basic stats year over year. It had been it's been a pretty big talking point for baseball since 2017, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard anything about
those things where I feel like it's cooled down because it's been so back and forth, but I want to say it was 2017 that everyone kind of still agrees, okay, that year in particular was almost assuredly juiced.
Because and that was one of my follow-up questions was, have you heard anything about it this year?
No.
And that, I think, is weird. I think it's weird we haven't heard anything about it this year, because I would have assumed we would be hitting more home runs through however many games we're through. I think average team is at like 35 games, 40 games or so. Then you would have through 40 games last year, because when the season starts in a normal season, you start off in colder months, and the ball just doesn't travel as far in colder months. It travels better in warmer climate. So since we're starting the season in warm months as compared to cold months, I really thought this would be a point of discussion. And so far, I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, it's been all quiet on the baseball front.
So I want to compare, and I only did 2019 versus 2020 because I figured keep it easy. I once again did not feel like doing several years worth of statistics on this. I guess I could. It wouldn't take that long, but I'm a lazy man. So in 2019, we had 186,518 plate appearances, 166,651 at bats. That's a lot. We're not using those raw numbers. 6,776 home runs. And I also looked at hits just because I want to see in general if we were hitting more or less. 42,039 hits in 2019. So in 2019, we had an at-bat to home run. So how many at-bats were between each and every home run of the season? 24.6. So every 24.6 at-bats in 2019, there would be a home run. So that's like the distance between home runs in terms of at-bats.
Mm-hmm.
So, also for I did plate appearances because I thought, why not? Just double down on the investigative numbers here. 27.5 plate appearances per home run, and at bats per hit was 4. So every 4 at bats we get a hit. So Corwin, 2020 this season, are we expecting this number to be higher or lower?
I am expecting it to be higher. Yeah, I'll say higher.
Yeah, a little bit. It is marginally higher. So in 2020 so far, we've had 1,521 home runs, which sounds ridiculous. Because like the season just started. It doesn't feel like it's been that many home runs.
Mm-hmm.
And yet it is. Anyway, 1,521 home runs, 43,330 plate appearances, 38,411 at-bats. That is an at-bat to home run ratio of 25.3. So a little under an additional at-bat per home run. Over last year, I should say. And same thing with plate appearances. 28.5 this year to 27.5 last year. So we are hitting home runs at a marginally slower rate than we did last season.
Which is odd because it seems like the guys who are, that we will talk about that are leading the pack in home runs seem to have such a good chunk going for themselves. Like it seems to be that like the amount that they have is at a higher rate than one would expect for a normal season.
Right. Everything pace wise, we it feels pretty relatively normal, I guess, but it is slowing down. So it's it could be all right. Let me. I can't formulate my thoughts right quite just yet. It's not off by a ton. So if we took this rate, this 25.3 plate appearances per home run, and applied it to last season's plate appearances, or sorry, at bats, I should say, at bats to home runs, we would get just about 6,600, a little under 6,599.
But
So it would
within
be,
margin of error,
but it would also be, like 176 home runs fewer. And I'll put it this way: I can't think of the last time it really felt like home runs stepped back by that much. I think, or rather, you know what? Hold on, I want to look at 2018 because I wonder if we saw. Because I think one of the storylines with 2019 was that it was on the way down, right? Wasn't that one of the things?
Right, but I feel like that's just because 2017 was so dramatically, you know, a large amount of home runs that just came out of nowhere, which is what started the discussion of juice balls. I feel like that was that year, coming off of that. I don't remember specifically.
So in 2018, there were 5,585 home runs, which is so in 2019, we jumped up over 1,000 more home runs.
Wow. What was 2017? Can you look that up?
Yes, I can get that in like a moment. 1 second.
I have waited 1 second.
All right, 2017, 6,105. So we did see a dip from 2017 to 2018, and then a huge jump 2018 to 2019.
Am I just like, is my memory just that bad where last year was the juice ball year and I just don't remember it?
It
'Cause I
doesn't
feel
feel
like
like
that
that to
jump
me.
would have been a much bigger discussion that I should be remembering.
All right, hold on. I've got to do some quick guy math here. So hold on. Well, I just copy and pasted the same number twice. Damn it, Josh.
We need to not do this like 20 minutes after we wake up on Sundays.
Oh, dude, it's the worst. If you're listening to this, that's exactly what happened. Basically, it's a travesty. All right. So in 2017, yes, that's still the year I'm on. We, the collective MLB, which you and I are a part of, Corwin.
It's true.
We hit 6,100 home runs in 165,567 at bats. That is good for 27.1, I guess, at bats per home run, which is a much larger gap than what we're experiencing this season. But I think 2017's whole deal was like, oh man, we're really pushing my recollection of juiced ball recent history. Is that they said they instituted it around the All-Star break was when everyone noticed the big thing, so which would make 2018 the first real like juiced ball season with fewer home runs hit though, with 5,585.
Well, wasn't part of the discussion that like they took away the juice ball? Is
Not
there a
in 2018.
Wikipedia page that we could find like a summary of events here?
All right, so hold
I
on.
feel like we're in fucking circles right now.
Well, I'm just so confused now. So maybe I'm going to have to look at fly balls to home runs to see if there's if that's where this difference lies. So in 2017, 27.1 at bats to home run. Okay, so every 27 at bats, you get someone in the world of baseball, in Major League Baseball, hitting another home run. In 2018, that number increased to 29.6 at bats to home runs. So it took more at bats, 2.5 more at bats to get a home run from any given player from the league as a whole, which again, when you extrapolate this out with how many games and plate appearances we're talking about, that's a big difference. And it shows, like 2017, 6,100 home runs, 2018, 5,600 home runs. That's a lot fewer home runs.
Mm-hmm.
Then in 2019, it shot down. Like 24.6 is a huge decrease. Like I guess increase in rate, decrease in wavelength frequency of home runs. I don't fucking know. From 29.6 to 24.6, that's 5 fewer plate appearances per home run, which again, when you talk about numbers of the size and scope we're talking about here, that ended up being 1,200 more home runs. And now this season, we're slowly going back up to 25.3, which is a current pace if we used 2019's plate appearances for 6,600 home runs. But 6,600 home runs would still be second most of the last 4 years. Okay, so let's look at 2016 then. We must go deeper. Okay, so 2016, we, the collective MLB unit that Corwin and I are a large part of, hit 5,610 home runs, which is the second lowest number of home runs hit outside of 2018 of the 5 years we've looked at so far. And let's pull in at-bats. And the reason I've been using at-bats for anyone who unaware, who wouldn't guess, at-bats count. Plate appearances don't count. Sorry, at-bats doesn't count like walks. I wanted to use like plate appearances does. Plate appearances accounts for walks and errors and shit. Things that wouldn't show up in at-bats because they don't necessarily affect your batting average per se. I guess errors actually do affect your batting average. Doesn't matter. Maybe I'll do this with plate appearances just to give it a broader scope. But regardless, so 2016 was 29.5 as well. So 2016 2018 are pretty similar in that vein, which also makes sense since they're pretty similar in how many home runs got hit. They're only off from each other by 25. Yeah, indeed. I don't know, man.
I hate when we have these episodes where it's like, I honestly I don't even understand what we're looking at and like why. Like it's just so against the, what is it? Not the consensus, but like the headline that we're
common sense view.
Yeah, like what we are expecting because that's what's talked about as being the storyline.
Okay, so damn it, I hit the wrong button on my laptop. All right, so in 2016, let me label my data because I'm going to get confused if I just have a page full of numbers. 2016, if we're using plate appearances instead of at bats, just to capture the full range, everything, every time anyone stepped up to the plate ever, 32.9 because it's just about 33 plate appearances between home runs. Okay, yes. All right, we got that in our brains, in our brains. All right. So let's pull in 2017's plate appearances and do the same thing. And in theory, this number should go down because 2017 had more home runs. And it did. So it decreased by about the same amount as it did when I used plate appearances or at-bats. Fuck me. It's down about 2 points. A little over 2 points. It's down to 30.4 plate appearances per home run. Okay, so in 2018 this should go back up. I feel like a fucking lunatic.
We are lunatics.
Yeah, but I feel it because this isn't what I was expecting. It's not for me. I don't want to sit here and say like, wow, this story has now been blown severely out of proportion looking at these numbers. But like, I can't help but think of why was this a story? You know,
right?
I know the thing is I know we've also talked about this already. Like I know this isn't that outlandish of a thing. Like I know for a fact we talked about the home run juice ball scenario kind of deal. And now I don't know why it's been so much of a thing. 2019 looks startlingly weird. And 2020 looks like we're kind of recovering back to where we've been the 3 years prior, but the juice ball conversation wasn't just a 2019 thing. Like it was a 2017 and 2018 thing as well. So, all right. So here's the full scope for plate appearances instead of just at-bats. 2016, 32.9 plate appearances per home run. 2017, 30.4 plate appearances per home run. So a decrease. 2018, 33.1 plate appearances per home run. 2019, 27.5 plate appearances per home run. Huge increase. And 2020, 28.5 plate appearances per home run. So we're definitely getting back towards a more normal level. But that's still really high. So I guess we're still, would you say we're still in it?
Yeah. I mean, it feels like, we are still hitting a home run rate higher than what you would expect. And I mean, I don't know if the balls are as juiced, if that's something you can adjust. I am sure MLB knows exactly what you can and cannot do because they're doing it. But to some extent, I feel like the ball is juiced. It is juiced.
I would have to agree. I'm just so confused because I really thought we would see some pretty different numbers here, and we have not.
Yeah.
Wow. This is very, I don't know what to make of that. So I also downloaded a spreadsheet on barrel ball percentages as a team so I could find league average of barrel balls. And I did it for 2019 and 2020 because, again, I want to do some comparison shopping here. So in 2019, let me make sure I'm pulling up the right list first because I didn't label them like a rookie. I did. All right.
Rookie mistake.
2019, on average, I did this as a team just because that might only be working with 30 individual data points instead of 900 batters. The average barrel ball percent for the league was 7.35. So 7.35% of all batted balls were barrel balls. So is your impression for 2020, do you think this number will be higher or lower?
I think it would be higher. If not, I think it's going to be close. I don't think it's going to be a huge jump up, but if anything, I think it would be a little higher.
So why do you think it would be higher? This is interesting.
Because we have more home runs?
No, we are on pace for fewer home runs.
Okay, then I think it will be slightly lower. Because, again, I don't know how numbers work.
Well, your first answer was right. It is higher.
Well, Josh, I'm just so innately smart that I just knew it from the start.
But you see, so this is what I'm saying is interesting is that, and you're right. You were right on in your exact reasoning too. It's really close, but higher. So last year's was 7.35%. This year it's 7.55. So it's a 0.2% percentage point difference, but it is higher. But that's also weird that the average MLB player is barreling more balls than last year and by rate hitting fewer home runs. Again, not by a lot in either direction, but that's still pretty counterintuitive.
Right.
Which again would, in my mind, suggest that maybe we are slowly unjuicing the balls.
I mean, possibly. And again, maybe it can't be weather because we're still not hitting it out of the park as much, even though it's warmer out than earlier months in the season. I don't know. Josh, baseball is apparently really hard.
Oh, everything I've heard is anyone say is to the contrary. Baseball is very easy.
Dude, I could just luck myself into a home run. Just by chance.
I mean, we've seen it happen, man.
I wish I remembered who that guy was. That reporter.
What reporter?
The guy who was like, yeah, I'm sure I could just luck into a home run in MLB. I could definitely score a touchdown. I could score 2 points in an NBA game, but there's no way I could score a goal on skates in hockey. And it's like,
what?
Sure, you can't do any of those things.
Yeah, what the hell kind of what?
Yeah, I was just like, everyone was like, you are just so like the only thing accurate here is like you can't score a goal in hockey. That is correct,
Yeah.
but that
Oh,
doesn't mean you can do
for
any of
sure.
the other things.
Yeah, for sure. Oh man, that's hilarious. All right, so
Yeah,
I sorry,
I was
can
not
barely
adding
function.
anything productive there, so go ahead.
Oh, we're gonna die. So it, I also thought if we're talking about a difference in the baseball, it'd be interesting to look at this from a pitching perspective as well. So I have up um, pitch movement, and right now I just have it to four seam fastball. We can look at others. It's very easy for me to change the spreadsheet, so we can certainly look at others. Um, but anyway, four seam fastball in 2019. Sean Doolittle had 12 inches of vertical movement on his four seam fastball. Okay.
Good.
That was 3.9 more inches than average. So our average guy was doing, I guess, by basic math logic, 8.1 inches of vertical movement on their four seam fastball. Make sense?
Yes,
Okay.
which
This
is more than
season,
I would expect to begin with.
oh yeah, way more than I would have expected. Anyway, Trevor Bauer this season has 12 inches of vertical movement on his fastball. Do you think that is more than Sean Doolittle's, I guess, vertical movement over average, or less? Do you think the average is going to be closer to Trevor Bauer's 12 or farther?
I think it's going to be closer to Trevor Bauer's 12.
It is. And so Sean Doolittle had 3.9 more inches of movement over average. Trevor Bauer, 3.7 more inches of movement over average, which means that instead of 8.1 being our average four seam fastball vertical movement, 8.3 is our average vertical fastball movement, which means we're getting more movement on our average pitch, which again feels not disingenuous. That's not the word I was going to say. Feels the opposite of what it should be.
Right. And I know Trevor Bauer's pitch repertoire this year has had, a lot of discussion around it because his like RPMs are up like 400, which is just insane for a single season jump. And everyone's saying it's because he's using Bullfrog. He said, Bullfrog is what would do it. This is exactly what he said would happen. Ipso facto, it's clear he's doing it, post hoc, ergo propter hoc, fucking Latin, Josh, get it together. But I don't know what specifically this year would cause the rest of MLB collectively to have so much more movement on their pitches. Not that
I
like
think
0.2 inches, whatever it was, is a huge difference, but when it's
league wide.
however hundreds of pitchers all having an increase collectively, that's a big deal. It's a lot.
Right. And that's exactly what we're talking about here. The difference between, as you said, like 8.1 and 8.3 isn't huge, but when you put it on the scale that we're talking about, it kind of is huge. I all right, I have a theory.
Okay.
Let's definitely look at sliders at least after this.
Yeah.
They raised the seams a little bit.
Did they?
Because that was one of the big talking points for the whole juiced balls thing,
Yes.
is that they lowered the seams so pitchers weren't able to get as good of a grip, and it was supposed to give the ball better aerodynamics, which would let it fly better. And now we have pitchers getting better movement. We have players still squaring up the ball really well for barreled balls, but not driving it out of the park as much, which would maybe lead you to think maybe there's just more drag on the ball, so it's not flying as far. I don't know. What do you think?
Why don't we just keep one ball? Just let players adapt on their own, not have to stick it with a bunch of question marks every year because nobody knows what ball we're going to get.
I think 25% of all balls should be rubber on the inside, so they go stupid far away. A quarter of all balls randomly distributed, and they feel the same, so no one knows.
Just have lacrosse balls or tennis balls in there that just are
And
gonna be hit like 700 feet.
well, so that's the thing. Everyone thinks oh man, it's gonna be home run city. But what happens if you just don't square that pitch up well and just drive it into the dirt, and then all of a sudden you got a chopper that flies like 200 feet because it just like ricocheted off the dirt?
Yeah, that would be hilarious. Just like
Right?
these crazy infield blooper reels because this ball's just going all over the place.
Now
Wow.
imagine this. Your favorite hitter is up to bat. And he swings, and the ball, it's a foul ball, but it was the rubber ball, and it like leaves the stadium foul. And he's sitting there shaking his head because it was an easy fastball that not only he missed, but he missed the opportunity to hit a goofy far home run because it was the rubber ball, and now he's doubly disappointed in himself because he's not getting that pitch with that ball again.
No.
And that'd be a hilarious thing to witness.
Josh, like we're sitting here, it's early in the morning, our coffee's just starting to kick in. We're inherently dumb right now. Like that's just the way it is. We're still probably the smartest dudes in baseball right now coming up with these ideas. Like
I don't know who could be smarter. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, there are no
maybe
better
Adam
ideas.
Silver, but we know that.
All right. Okay, so let's look for a moment at sliders because I am curious. All right, but hold on a second. I have to export this list now because I was perusing the sliders list, and in 2020, Ryan Harper has 54.1 inches of vertical movement on his slider, which is 3.5 inches better than average.
Wait,
And Sean Newcomb,
15 or 50?
54.1.
I heard 50.
54.1. What 54.1 inches of vertical movement? Yes, according to StatCast.
What?
So I'm just going to take that for what it is.
Okay.
But the real thing that's startling to me is that is 3.5 inches better than average. Not a lot. Okay. Sean Newcomb, 52.4, which is 1.7 fewer inches of movement than Ryan Harper, 9 inches better than average. I don't understand what average is then.
I mean, what?
Right? That doesn't make any sense because why?
They're both sliders. We're looking at the same pitch here, right?
Right. Well, different pitchers.
Different pitchers, same pitch.
Same pitch. And you might say to yourself, well, Ryan Harper is right-handed, Sean Newcomb's left-handed. Fine. Sean Newcomb, 52.4 inches of vertical movement. Josh Osick, 52.2 inches of vertical movement. So a difference of 0.2. So their distance from the average should only be a difference of approximately 0.2, since, again, we're only looking at vertical movement here. And it's not. Sean Newcomb, 9 inches better than average. Josh Osick, 3.8.
So I can't trust math anymore, is what you're saying.
So I'm going to find average myself by just exporting these lists, looking at the vertical movement column, and then making an average. Because I clearly have a misunderstanding of what the fuck average is supposed to mean. Because that's stupid. All right, so hold on. I need to find Patrick Corbin. Where in the world is Patrick Corbin?
I'm hanging with that guy Waldo.
I was going over more of a Carmen Sandiego vibe, and I just typed Carmen Sandiego into my search.
I love that.
Oh, that makes one of us. All right, so Patrick Corbin, I'm looking for 43.3 because, of course, as we've discussed previously in the show, StatCast loves to name their columns on the website one thing and then name their columns in the spreadsheet another thing, which is so mean.
Do they really?
Yeah, dude, it's fucking infuriating. All right. So average. Wait, what pitch am I on? Slider? Yeah, average slider movement, vertical movement in MLB last season from 327 pitchers was 37.3 inches of vertical movement. Okay? Makes sense?
Yes.
Okay. So then let's look at 20. Wait, which year is this? Son of a bitch. Okay, so the number I just read was for 2020. So now we're going to go to 2019, last year. And if my theory is correct, then we should see a decrease in movement. So I'm looking for column O. Got it. All right. You got to type an equal sign, Josh. Otherwise, Excel doesn't know what you're trying to do. Man, I should be fired. All right, 37.3 inches of vertical movement. Anymore. You're right. So that's the same. 37.3 in 2019, 37.3 in 2020. If you wanted to go another decimal place or another digit back, it's 37.4, 37.5 with rounding versus 37.30 versus 37.35. But like, that's not enough for it to be meaningful.
No.
So now I don't know what to think. Now I don't know anything.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think we knew much to begin with, but I do feel like I know less now.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's my real problem here. Is I know less now than I did when we started. What? All right, so hold on, hold the phone.
Oh,
let's look at horizontal movement real quick because it should be on the same spreadsheet. So this shouldn't be hard. Shouldn't be, but we'll see.
None of this should have been hard.
Man, who knew baseball was this hard?
Right.
1.3. Where's your? Show me your 1.3, you dumb bitch.
Show me 1.3.
Show me what you got.
I like what you got.
And of course, I'm looking at the wrong fucking years again. God damn it.
What else is new?
Seriously. All right. So it's column S. All right. So horizontal movement. Because we're looking at sliders, maybe this is just a bigger deal. You know?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what we care about more.
I feel like Josh, just like this is somewhat of a non sequitur.
Go ahead.
I feel like we talk about pitches and these pitch statistics enough to where we should probably figure out, more about these pitches and what makes them work. Just figure out more about them so that we're not always this confused. And I feel like we always reach that conclusion, like, man, we just don't know enough about pitching. Because I don't know why 2 + 2 = 4 in this scenario,
I don't think it does. I don't.
2 + 2 = 5 here.
Yeah, dude, it might as well. I'll put it that way. So shit. In 2020, horizontal movement on sliders 5.63 inches of movement, and in 2019 5.71 inches of horizontal movement. So definitely a bigger difference than vertical movement, but like not by much. Like the combined difference between movement in these pitches to 2 decimal places is let's see, let's just do some really basic addition because there's no way I can fuck that up. So I'm sure this isn't how anyone does it, but in 2020, 43.06 inches of combined movement between these 2 axes of movement. And in 2019, let's do math. Oh, damn it. Now I got to round. Fuck you, Excel. I wanted you to do that for me. 42.93 in 2019. So a difference of 0.13. Yeah. 0.13 inches of total movement difference. I don't think that's enough to make it statistically significant.
I agree.
All right, so then I think my theory that the seams are different no longer is viable.
Are any of our theories viable at this point? Because what were our other ones?
I think that was the only one we really had.
Okay, well that makes sense.
So I wonder if maybe this conversation should be revisited come October when the cold weather season rolls back around and we can compare playoff stat to playoff stat because both this playoffs will still be in October and last year's playoffs were also in October. And we can compare in cold seasons because maybe because that's the thing. Like, I really would have thought that 2020 would have had a higher home run incidence through the first 40 games than 2019 because of the fact that the first 40 games in 2019 were played in cold weather, which is less good for home runs versus 2020, which is, it's hot, it's summer still, and so far that just hasn't been true.
It was 65 degrees yesterday, so I refuse to believe that.
In the morning, no one played baseball at 8 a.m.
Which they should. I think that would be great.
Maybe 9. I think is the earliest I would want to watch baseball. 8. I'm gonna be too crabby to really enjoy it.
That's fair. Again, my schedule is kind of wonky right now, so I get up at like 7:30 naturally, and I hate that. And I want stuff to do at 7:30 in the morning because there usually is about nothing.
Yeah, I just drink my coffee and watch the news because I am now 80. Like, that's who I and you know what's sad? I look forward to it.
Can we just do an episode talking about how old we feel now? Because we're in that same boat together, and it's rough.
Oh yeah. Part of it's like I'm having such a nice time feeling like an informed individual and I can't wait to vote and I can't wait to like make dinner tonight, try out a new recipe from the cookbook and it's like, "Oh no, I've become my grandparents." Oh.
I hope I don't become my grandparents.
No. Nice.
Yep. Little dark humor to really wake you up in the morning.
I don't really have anything else. I think we've done this a few times in the past where it's like we did a thing and came up relatively empty-handed. But I wanted to do this thing because this has been a big talking point for the last 3-4 seasons of baseball. Like four seasons. And this year it's just not a talking point.
Mm-hmm.
Because like even like last year, granted, was a huge spike, but like the continuation of the juice ball conversation has been also a conversation every season. And the fact that it isn't this year is weird.
It's literally why we named our podcast what we named it.
Yeah. Because they started juicing the balls.
Honestly, don't remember now if it was like just juicing the balls or like juicing to begin with, but I feel like it had more to do with juicing baseballs being, in prime time spots.
Yeah. The context of juicing baseballs was like in the news or in the sports lexicon like every day. So,
Josh, this is going to sound bad because I've been a host on this show for the entirety of the show. When did we start?
January 2019.
Really? Okay. So,
yeah.
Fuck. That feels like such a long time ago. And also, like, that's like a year and 2 years almost, not even year and a half, year and 9 months.
Yeah, year and
what year
3/4.
What is this?
I don't think it's fair to keep track of time and years anymore.
Especially this year in particular. Like, this has been the longest 6 years of 2020 ever.
Yeah. But dude, this summer was a long year. Like, fuck, man. But anyway, you wanna take a trip down baseball references leaderboards real quick just to see where we're at? I haven't done that in a while.
I do.
All right, give me 1 second to pull up our stats leaders.
I know a good stat we can start with.
What's that, buddy?
Home runs.
We'll get there. Who do you think? I'm not going to ask you who do you think because it's just going to take too long. Mookie Betts is currently leading, all of baseball, but also all position players in WAR right now. 3. And let me just say, wow.
Yeah.
That's too much.
I wouldn't say it's too much. It's a lot.
No, that's too much. Like he needs to be stopped.
I think the rest of California teams should all pitch in together, and work together to dethrone him.
What were the kiddies to do but band together and work as a team?
I'd love that. I'd love that movie like casting of like, oh, we have Mike Trout, we have Fernando Tatis, and we have Mike Yastrzemski fighting Big Bad Mookie Betts.
All right, hold on. So how much WAR do you think all of the Los Angeles Angels outfield as a unit has put up?
Ooh, okay. So that's tough because Mike Trout is one of those wild card guys where he could have 10 so far this year because he's Mike Trout and he just has 10 every season. Man, so I'll say Trout probably has like 2.5 because he's been playing good, but I don't want to say not great because it has been great. Just it's a weird year for Mike Trout. He missed some time, so I'll say 2.5. I'll say Joe Adell has like negative 0.3. And I mean, I don't know who their third one would be now that Brian Goodwin was traded. Justin Upton, right? I'll say he has
still there.
1. So math, that's what? 3.2?
So that's your guess, 3.2.
Yeah, 3.2, final answer.
All right. According to Baseball Reference, in 2020, the Los Angeles outfield combined has the worst WAR in baseball at negative 2.8.
What?
Yep.
How?
Literally worse than Pittsburgh at negative 2.4.
How?
I don't know. And what's more confusing is well here actually let me do it to you this way. Left field, Los Angeles and the Angels have the worst left field in baseball, negative 1.6. Right field, the Angels have the worst right field in baseball at negative 1.7. And center field, the Angels have 9th best at 0.5.
So Mike Trout only has 0.5 WAR this year?
No, he has 2, but he's being weighed down. So they have it broken out by plate appearances here. If you hover over, you're not looking at this.
Yeah, I don't have that.
Mike Trout does have the vast majority of plate appearances in center field, 159. Brian Goodwin also has 17. Michael Hermosillo also has 2, and I'm sure that there's others there who haven't scraped together quite enough to be listed in these top 3. But yeah, I mean, you look at the guys that have been playing. Left field has been a combination of Justin Upton, Brian Goodwin, Taylor Ward, Michael Hermosillo, and Franklin Barreto. And then right field, because that was left field. Right field has been a combination of Joe Adell, Brian Goodwin, Taylor Ward, and apparently 2 appearances from David Fletcher.
David Fletcher plays everywhere.
And I guess, you just combine all, Jesus, how many players' names did I just read? Like 8 8 different players. Mike Trout just isn't carrying. I mean, 2. I think it's 2. Let me make sure his WAR total is 2. I have that up. Yeah, it's 2 even. 2 from one player when I would assume all of those guys are negative, because how else would this make sense? I guess 2 just isn't enough.
I'm
shocked.
Wow.
Yeah, I understand. That's all there is.
This has been a wild episode, just like with the numbers you've been throwing out, like 54 inches of vertical movement on a slider or whatever, this, that. But this has been something else. That's nuts to me. That they've been that unbelievably bad.
Yeah. Yeah, this is weird. It's very weird. I don't understand in my brain. Okay. I will add that is only OWAR. That is not counting DWAR. That is only OWAR.
DWAR is usually so positive that I'm sure that would even
out. Yeah, I know. So Mike Trout actually has 2 OWAR. In overall WAR, Mike Trout has 1? What?
He has -1 DWAR?
He has negative 0.9 DWAR. What?
Josh, what the fuck is going on?
Wait, what? Mike Trout has a 186 OPS plus, which is better than his average season, which is phenomenal. He's beating out his standard slugging, his standard OPS. He's a little bit below average in his OBP, but who gives a shit about that, really? And he's slightly below his own average in batting average, which again, who gives a shit? But his DWAR, this is literally the worst it's been since 2013 when it was negative 1.2. And that season he had 10.1 OWAR. So, he played a full season. Like, it accumulated over the course of a full season, even though it was negative by a lot, 1.2. That accumulated over a full range of games. It's only been he's only played 37 games.
Can you pull up Fangraphs and compare their WAR?
Sure thing, buddy. Because I have even less cognitive ability to wrap my brain around this Mike Trout stat than I have anything else we've talked about so far today.
Right. Like I would be fully committed to just talking about how this is even possible for the rest of this podcast as a whole. No more movies, no more, well, I guess that's separate now, but no more anything else. Just how is Mike Trout considered in any capacity not one of the best?
So Fangraphs has his WAR at 2.
Total WAR at 2.
Total WAR. I'm looking for his defense right now. Unfortunately, I'm not as used to using Fangraphs at this point since I've been using so much of StatCast in the recent years. Oh, fielding. All right, here we go. Do you have a fielding stat you care about the most?
Defensive run saved, I guess.
I don't think that's a Fangraph stat.
All right, then I don't care about it as much.
Let me just make sure I'm right about that.
No, I think it is, because that's where I was looking at it for the predictions podcast.
They don't have it here. They have UZR. I know they use UZR a lot.
I'm not familiar with UZR.
Oh, wow. This is a bad season for him by that, too. Negative 3.1, which would be his third worst season. Yeah, Mike Trout's playing poor defense this year.
Which breaks my heart.
I can't wrap my head around. I can't understand that. So they have value, and so they have offense, which is batting and base running combined above average. So just for a reference point, because this is a data point Corwin and I don't usually look at, so for our own reference point, Mike Trout by season, starting with 2012, 64.4, 70.5, 57.8, 58.7, 67, 54.4, 70.5, 68.2. So this number, because you have to assume Mike Trout's on the high end of it. I would assume 70 is stupid high, and anything over 55 is really high, right?
Sure.
So, granted, shortened season so far. Mike Trout sitting at 17.1 in this. So I'll take that because for everything that I can assume, I would assume Mike Trout still hitting the ball well, and
Right.
I have no reason to doubt that. So
Essentially having an 1100 OPS, yeah, that's pretty good.
yeah, he's played in 37 games so far, which we'll call that. It's a little over a fifth of a season. So 17.1, we'll be conservative to Mike Trout and call that a quarter. So you multiply that by 4 and it's 68.4. So yeah, that seems on par with who he usually is. And since I'm being a little conservative, it's probably looking like one of his best offensive seasons yet, which by OPS plus, it certainly looks like that via Baseball Reference. His defense, starting at 2012, 10.2. Holy shit. Wow. 0.5. 2014, negative 4.5. 2015, 6.6, and then 4.3, and then 2017, negative 3.5, and then 2018, 4.2, 2019, negative 0.3, and then 2020, negative 2.7, which again, this is a shortened season. So if you take that negative 2.7 and multiply it by 4, that'd be negative 10.8 stretched across a whole season, which would be far and away the worst mark of his career.
Which is still just crazy to think about. Granted, I haven't watched, I watched one Angel series. I can't, say.
Who are they playing?
Oh, I don't know. I think they were playing the Padres, if I want to say. But that's crazy because Mike Trout's defense was one of the things that, he was not good early on in his career and improved drastically the last couple. And I don't know how it could have fallen off so much just this season.
I don't know either. Wow, I've got nothing to say. For reference, could we started this conversation on why is the Angels outfield so bad? I would like to read you some of the OWAR of the other players in that outfield. Frank Barreto, so Joe Adell, negative 0.7. Frank Barreto, negative 0.3. Who else did I say? David Fletcher is sitting at 1.1, which is very nice. Brian Goodwin at 0.3. Michael Hermosillo sitting at 0.0. Who else is here? Justin Upton at negative 0.5. Jared Walsh at negative 0.3. Taylor Ward at negative 0.3. The Angels as a team have 3.7 combined OWAR.
Yeah, okay. I don't.
Would you like to hear a team for reference?
Yeah. Let me hear. I don't know. I'm trying to think of what an average outfield would be like. Maybe like the Braves? They have some good. No, because they're pretty good all around defensively.
The Braves have the 13th best outfield. So I'd say that's relatively average.
That works, yeah.
0.6 WAR combined from their outfield. Let's click on them to find out more. Because that's just, yeah. So the Braves as a team, because that's what I just read off for the Angels, so we can get a little bit of perspective on how well they've been doing. A team OWAR of 5, which is a full 1.3 wins above replacement better than the Angels. And additionally, just to hammer home the point of wow, fuck the Angels, the Angels' combined team DWAR is negative 1.4. The Braves' combined team DWAR is negative 0.4. So the Braves are playing 1.3 runs better offense and 1 full run better in defense, 2.3 wins above replacement better than the Angels as a team, which is over the course of a season. That's, that's a lot. That's a lot. Jesus Christ, the Angels are so bad.
I am so confused by how this is even possible.
I feel like I stumbled into another dimension.
Right? Like, yeah, we know Joe Adell has been struggling. He's a rookie that probably should be in AAA for all of this year. Yeah, all right. that's fine. You can understand that. Justin Upton is old and could easily, fall off a cliff at any point. Okay, it's not crazy that he would be having a bad year. I mean, I don't know, Brian Goodwin and, David Fletcher. I love David Fletcher, but, he's not a superstar. I could see him not having a good season. Mike Trout, though, that's where all this kind of is focused around, and that is so far and away not something I can even begin to process.
If it wasn't Mike Trout, I don't think, because he's hitting so well, I don't think this is a big deal. Like if he was Mr. League average outfielder, like if he was
All
Adam,
around.
or if he was even like a guy like Adam Engel,
Yeah.
who's like already not a great hitter, and then maybe not an error, but every ball he doesn't get to, everything that would accumulate to being a -1 WAR outfielder in a pretty short amount of games, you would notice that, and there'd be a big conversation about like why this person's playing, they're not hitting, they're not fielding, why is this person out there? With Mike Trout, that's not going to happen. Mike Trout could lay a fucking goose egg. He could not catch like a ball for like the rest of the season, and they'd still let him play wherever he wanted to because he's that good at hitting.
And probably still make an all-star team doing it.
Of course he would. But it's still weird to see this happen because I don't know why it would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want Mike Trout to ever Mike Trout has never played for my favorite team. Mike Trout's never been a guy I know personally and want to do well. I have no personal investment in Mike Trout other than I want to see him be the absolute best he could be because that makes baseball better. And it's like watching LeBron James. Like, I want to be able to watch a guy you could argue as being the best of all time or one of the greatest of all time. I don't want to see that guy slump. I want to see him be better and better and better and better and better.
I fully agree. My main, I guess, concern right now is that he doesn't become Albert Pujols. I don't want him because the only thing I could think of, because I haven't seen any egregious Mike Trout error highlight reels. Have you from this season?
Never. No.
So the only thing I could think of is, one of the ways that they do DUR is they also factor in catch probabilities. So, you're standing X number of feet from where the ball is going to be. How often do a ball is hit a certain angle, it's hit at a certain speed? How often is that ball caught in that spot from that distance? Like, we are very advanced in how we can measure things on a baseball diamond at this point,
which is fantastic.
Oh, it's great. So the only thing I could think of that might be affecting this for Mike Trout so heavily is he's slowing down. Just like he's not literally just not running as fast. And I don't really have a great way of measuring that other than looking at his stolen bases right now. I guess I could look at speed on Fangraphs, and maybe I'll do that. As of right now, he only has one stolen base on the season to one caught stealing. And again, if you extrapolated this out, let's say you play 4 times the number of games we're playing right now, that means Mike Trout would be on pace for 60 home runs, which is a ton. He'd also be on pace then for 4 stolen bases, which would be the fewest of his career.
Which is crazy to think about.
Yeah. But stolen bases for him have been trending down since 2016. 2016, he stole 30. 2017, he stole 22. 2018, he stole 24. And then 2019, he stole 11. And this year, he's on pace for 4.
How hard would it be to look up the total stolen bases, baseball stolen bases, as a league over the past couple of years? So I feel like as a whole, I would assume they have been trending down.
I think I can. Give me a second.
All right. How's the tank engine hard at work over here?
Oh my God, I don't see it.
I mean, I know guys like, Jonathan VR have always been, the stolen base kings. Like Fernando Tatis is stealing bases at a much higher clip. But so many other guys I just feel like are not stealing bases at all. And it's just not something people focus on anymore.
So fucking baseball references stat head search for batting doesn't include stolen bases, which I think is weak as shit. I can do walks, intentional walks, hit by pitches, strikeouts, sack bunts. I can't do stolen bases.
That's
I can do catcher's
really
interference, and I can't do stolen bases.
I don't like that.
I don't even understand how that makes sense. Yeah, that's it's pretty whack, son. You got to fix that. You got to be better. Yeah, shame.
That's always something we could look at in another episode.
I suppose, but still, man, fucking
Yeah.
weird.
Mike Trout. I'm not saying figure it out because you don't need to. You're Mike Trout. You know what's up. Just like, hey, please keep getting better.
Hold on, I just want to stolen bases by. I'm just gonna Google this shit.
And I hate that we're at a point with, people always pick apart like the superstars, the great ones, because anytime they don't do anything perfect, it's this big deal. Mike Trout is leading the league in homers on pace for, the highest of his career. And we're still talking about how we're upset with his play.
Well, that's the thing is like I'm not upset by his play. I am afraid of his eventual slowing down. You know what I mean? That's
How
what
old is he
concerns
now?
me.
Like 29?
Yeah, he's not even 30 yet. So he's going to be good for a long time.
To think of himself in and of itself.
All right, so this is stupid because I found a list that stops at 2017. It's like, why would you even do this?
Yeah. For what? Stolen bases?
For stolen bases, and yeah, it's going down. 20. So just going from 2011, I guess, to 2017, 3,279. Is that really that many? There's no way. Yeah, wow, that feels like way too many. But oh well. 3729, and then 2012, 3229, so 50 fewer. 2013, 2693, so 530 fewer. 2014, 2764, 230 fewer. 2015, 2505, 260 fewer. 2016, 2537, so that's actually 32 more. 2017, 2527, 10 fewer than that. So I think we might have settled in around that number. At least that 2,500 mark has been consistent that 3 years between 2015 2017. I'd like to tell you what it is now. Guess I can't. Go fuck myself.
Yeah, I mean, you probably should.
Actually, hold on. I might be able to, now that I've complained about it. Can I do it? Oh, man, Josh.
Can I kick it?
Yes, you can. All right, so let's look at, I guess, I left off at 2018. Let's look at 2018. Can I kick it? Can I kick it? Yes, I can. 2474. So lower again. We've now crossed beneath that 2,500 threshold. And in 2019, 2280. Wow. A precipitous drop off.
Yeah. Do you think that's with, the I fucked it already.
Yeah.
Something to do with the stitching. Oops.
I think base runners are just getting lazier. I don't think they want it as much.
You know what? I can't help but believe you. It makes sense. Guys getting paid so much money, don't want to have to work for it anymore. Goddamn libs, man.
I'm telling you, that's why we keep hitting more home runs, because no one wants to run around the bases. They want to jog around the bases. Like this is a sport, man. You got to go grind it out.
Oh man, I would love to see someone argue for only slap hitting singles because you got to work harder, and that's just the way baseball should be played.
Yeah, Nap Lajoie didn't go fight in World War VII so that you could knock dingers over short porches and then trot around some bases. All right, you got to go in there and put in the work.
Absolutely. Josh, I've never agreed more with you.
And that's baseball.
That's
right,
what you sound like when you complain about baseball.
As everyone who watches the sport does. Anything else before we wrap it up?
No, I'm okay. So next week, are we doing NFL bold predictions? Next episode?
Yeah, Thursday. Thursday's episode will be, thanks for reminding me. The NFL season starts this Thursday, as a reminder to everybody, including my fucking self.
What?
And that means that Corwin and I will have, right? Isn't it
What?
this Thursday?
I don't know. I honestly I didn't realize NFL.
Corwin Heller,
schedule.
I am pretty sure that the NFL season starts this Thursday.
Thursday the 10th, Chiefs Texans. Oh my God, 4 days.
Yeah, 3 days from when this releases. Yeah.
Ay, caramba. Fuck.
Ay, caramba, indeed. Ay, ay, ay. The NFL season is right around the corner. So that means that we will be doing our NFL bold predictions. It will be out on Thursday, so that we can be ready to go for the NFL 2020-2021 Sam Darnold MVP season. Yeah. Are you ready for some magic?
Oh, I'm ready for something. Literally anything at this point, you know?
I get it. All right. Well, then, if you want to follow the show on Twitter, you can do so at JuicingPod. If you want to hit us up via email, you can do so at juicingthenumbers@gmail.com. Make sure you check out the movies, podcast, Juicing the Big Screen. Available where all podcasts are available, because where else would they be? You can hit that up. Oh, it is, man. You can check it out at Big Screen Juice on Twitter and Juicing the Big Screen at gmail.com. Until Thursday, y'all have a good one.